All right, let's be real for a second. With the election coming up, who hasn't thought about student loans, right? It's like everyone's got an opinion on them nowadays.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to cut through all that noise and really dig into what a Harris or Trump presidency could mean for, well, your bank account.
Yeah, and to really get a sense of the potential impact here, we need to start with just like the current situation with student loans, right? We're not talking about a small thing, right? This is a collective debt exceeding $1.75 trillion.
Trillion.
Yeah, it's like if every borrower in the U.S. was carrying around like an extra $37,853 on their back.
$37,000. That's like a down payment on a house for some people. I mean, no wonder this is such a big issue for so many people. And it doesn't help that college costs keep going up like every year.
Oh, absolutely. And since like the year 2000, tuition and fees, they've gone up by 65%. It's crazy.
65%.
Pair that with the fact that federal student loan interest rates are the highest they've been since 2007. It's, a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it's like a recipe for disaster. It really is. So let's talk strategy then. We've got this Kiplinger article, What the Election Could Mean for Student Loan Forgiveness, Harris versus Trump. And I think it'd be good to unpack how they plan to deal with this like elephant in the room.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea because this isn't just about numbers, right? It's about like their whole philosophies towards education and debt and what the government should even be doing about all this.
Right, exactly. So first up, Kamala Harris. One thing that really stuck out to me was her focus on expanding the loan relief programs that already exist. She even said she wants a future where no teacher has to struggle with the burden of student loan debt. Like, does that mean free college for teachers down the line? I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought for sure. But what's really interesting is that she doesn't really want to like completely redo the entire system. It seems like she really wants to just kind of like fine-tune the stuff that Biden has already done, specifically by targeting relief for borrowers who are really struggling,
Okay, so she's all about like targeted relief. What does that even look like, though? Like, how do you even do that?
Yeah.
The article mentions a bunch of programs like borrower defense and income-driven repayment plans and public service loan forgiveness.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that just kind of sounds like a bunch of financial jargon to me,
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Let's break those down a little bit because they each have some pretty important differences. So take borrower defense, right? This is meant to help borrowers who were basically misled by their schools.
Okay.
So imagine like you were tricked into going to some for-profit college.
Oh, yeah.
They made all these promises about jobs and stuff.
Yeah, right.
But then you graduate and you're like, wait a minute, I have all this debt and no job.
Yeah, and that happens more than you'd think.
Oh, yeah, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
So borrower defense is there to like help those people out.
Yeah. So it'd be like, they wipe the slate clean. Like, you don't owe anything if the school was shady.
Exactly. If you can prove that your college was doing something illegal or like straight up lying to you to get you to enroll, you could get your loans completely forgiven. And this isn't even like some rare thing. This program's already helped like 1.6 million borrowers.
Yeah.
We're talking $28 billion in relief.
Wow. Okay, so it's a real thing. Okay, so then what about these income-driven repayment plans, these IDRs? The article lists, let's see, PYE, IBR, ICR, and SAVE. It's like alphabet soup over here. Could you like break it down for us regular folks?
Oh, yeah, totally. The main thing with these IDRs is that they base your monthly payments on how much money you're making and like your family size.
Okay.
So let's say you're working at, I don't know, like a nonprofit that does really important work, but it doesn't pay a ton.
Right.
Your monthly payments would be, something that you could actually afford.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They don't want people to like default on their loans just because they wanted to do something that helps people,
So it's less about like complete forgiveness and more about making a payment plan that you can actually like work with.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm assuming this SAVE plan that's been in the news a lot lately, that falls under this whole umbrella, right?
Yeah. So SAVE stands for Saving on a Valuable Education, and it's the newest IDR plan.
Okay.
They're trying to make the monthly payments even longer, and it's supposed to make it faster for some people to get to forgiveness.
Okay.
It's facing some legal issues right now.
Oh, really?
It's on hold because of some court stuff, but it's still a big deal. They're really trying to make college more affordable.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then there's this whole public service loan forgiveness thing that one always kind of felt like too good to be true, Yeah. Like I could be a teacher or a social worker or something and actually get my loans forgiven.
Yeah, you're right on the money with that one. So
Yeah.
PSLF.
Okay.
It's designed to get people into those like really important jobs.
Yeah.
the ones that we all need, by offering loan forgiveness after you've made payments for like 10 years.
10 years, okay.
It's not exactly a walk in the park, though. I mean, there are a lot of hoops to jump through to actually qualify.
Oh, I bet. Dealing with the government is never easy, is it?
No, not really.
But it sounds like it's working for some people. I mean, $62 billion in loan forgiveness.
It's definitely helped some people out, for sure.
Okay, so that's what? Borrower defense, IDRs, and PSLF?
Yep.
Anything else Harris is looking at changing?
So the article also mentioned this thing called PPD, which is total and permanent disability discharge.
Okay.
I mean, the name kind of says it all.
Yeah.
Right. It helps out borrowers who, like, can't work at all because of a disability.
Got it.
It's already helped out over 500,000 borrowers.
Wow.
Something like $14 billion in relief.
Wow. It's good that that's there, for those edge cases where people really need it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it seems like Harris is really all in on expanding all these programs,
Yeah.
but, it's an election year, so I'm sure not everyone's happy about this.
Right.
What's the other side look like then?
Well, it's pretty much the exact opposite. We have Donald Trump, who's said that he's totally against this whole student loan forgiveness thing.
Completely against it.
Pretty much, yeah. If
Well-
anything, he wants to, like, roll back the programs that are already out there.
Oh, wow. So it's like if Harris is fine-tuning, then Trump wants to just,
Hit the reset button.
hit the reset button on the whole thing.
Pretty much.
Wow. Okay, so tell me more about that. I mean, what's his track record on this?
So we can look back at his presidency, right?
Mm.
Back then, he actually wanted to make big cuts to student aid.
He did.
Yeah, he even said that he wanted to completely get rid of some of them,
Like which ones?
like public service loan forgiveness,
Oh, wow.
the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, that's FSE-SUC,
Okay.
and subsidized student loans.
Wow. He was not messing around, was he? He even called Biden's loan forgiveness plan vile. He said it wasn't even legal.
Yeah, he has not been shy at all about being opposed to what Biden's doing.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty safe to say he'd feel the same way about Harris's plans.
Mm.
Okay. Now, Trump hasn't really said exactly what his plan is,
Yeah.
but I think it's pretty safe to say he tried to either get rid of a lot of these loan forgiveness programs or at least make them a lot harder to use.
Okay, so let's say, hypothetically, Trump is elected. Could he just, snap his fingers and make it happen? Or are there other things that could get in the way?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Mhm.
Even if he wins, getting rid of these programs is not going to be easy.
Really? Why not?
Well, first of all, he needs Congress to be on board with it.
Oh, right.
And we've seen how difficult that can be with how much Biden struggled to get that SAVE plan going.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like a political minefield out there.
So winning the election doesn't mean you just get to do whatever you want.
Not at all, no.
Interesting. Okay, and what about this Project 2025 thing I keep hearing about?
Ah, yes. So
Yeah.
what is that all about?
Project 2025 is, it's like a playbook written by conservatives for how to change, a whole bunch of policies.
Okay.
Now, Trump has tried to say that he's not involved with it,
Uh-huh.
but a lot of his advisors are, really into it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things they want to do is completely get rid of all those income-driven repayment plans.
What, like, complete?
Completely gone, yeah.
Wow, it makes you wonder, what does that even mean for the future? It's like, are we moving away from this idea that the government should help people pay for college?
It's a really good question, and it just goes to show how different these two candidates are when it comes to this stuff.
It really does, yeah. It's not even just about loan forgiveness. It's about, what role they think the government should even have in dealing with inequality and stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like we're talking about, a fundamental difference in how they see the world.
Totally.
So, okay, where does this leave us? We've got Harris maybe building on what's already there, maybe even thinking about a future where some jobs don't even come with student debt. And then there's Trump, who seems like he's ready to just slam on the brakes.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's really a lot. So for anyone listening who's thinking, okay, what does this mean for me? Where do we even start?
I mean, it's totally understandable to feel a bit overwhelmed by all this.
Yeah.
It's like student loan forgiveness is this giant question mark.
Right.
And it's really hard to plan for the future when you don't know what's going to happen.
It's like trying to figure out your monthly budget when you have no idea how much your bills are going to be.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's why the most important thing is to focus on what you can actually control. The experts in this Kiplinger article actually said something really smart that said, don't just bank on forgiveness.
Right. Don't just assume it's going to happen.
Yeah, keep making your payments and plan your budget like you're going to have to pay back every single penny.
So basically, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst.
That's a really good way to put it.
Right.
Because being prepared could be the difference between, actually being okay financially and being stuck with a ton of debt.
Absolutely. Okay. So that's good advice. Don't just assume it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Be realistic about it. Is there anything else people can do, though? Like, what if they're really struggling to make those payments now?
Well, if you're having trouble making payments, don't just keep it to yourself,
Yeah.
Talk to your loan provider, seriously.
They might actually be understanding.
Yeah. You might be surprised at what they can do to help.
Like what?
Well, like we were talking about before, there are income-driven repayment plans.
Right. Right.
They might have hardship programs you don't even know about.
Okay, so it's always worth a shot, like just picking up the phone and making a call.
Exactly. The worst thing you can do is just ignore it and hope it goes away,
Right, because it won't.
It won't.
So I think that's a good place to wrap things up. We covered a lot today, but it seems like the big takeaway here is that this election, it really matters. It matters for your student loans, it matters for the future of education, and honestly, it just matters for how we think about responsibility and opportunity and what we owe each other as a society.
It really makes you think about what kind of future we're trying to build,
Exactly, and how we're going to pay for it.
Exactly.
Well, on that note, thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time.